Welcome back to Spitballin Cards. In today's video, we have more Would You Rathers for you, as well as players that we do not believe in that other people seem to care about. And we're going to see if the rest of the Spitballin team agrees with ourselves. So let's introduce who is here. My name is Scott. We have Phil, Chris, and Jeff. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining. And welcome everybody who's listening as well on YouTube and Spotify. So I want to propose a Would You Rather. Okay, so Would You Rather, we did it last week. We discussed a Topps Chrome Red rookie base card, number to 5, versus a Bowman Chrome first autograph. That was our Would You Rather last week. I was so strong Bowman Chrome Gold after we discussed. I was kind of in the middle. I could see both arguments, and it was a really good conversation. So let's switch that up a little bit. Would you rather have a first Bowman Chrome Red base card, meaning no autograph, but it's number to 5, or a Topps Chrome rookie gold autograph, number to 50? Chris, what's your thoughts?
Okay, this is the exact conundrum Jeff and I found ourselves in about a week or so ago. We decided we like Gerrit Cole. Gerrit Cole is the only player on the Yankees that I like. I want to be very clear on that. I lived in New York for a long time. I do not like the Yankees. Apologies out there, Yankee fans. Not the team for me. I don't like any of their players except Gerrit Cole. Gerrit Cole I like. He's a bulldog. I like his interviews. I like his whole attitude. So if I'm going to buy a Yankee, it's Gerrit Cole. Anyway, so Jeff and I were trying to narrow it down and seeing what's out there. And it's weird. He seems to have a lot of some cards and not many of others. So we were looking at, his 2012 Bowman Chrome, first Bowman Chrome, red refractor, non-auto, and also his Topps Chrome gold refractor, rookie auto, were about the same price. So we went back and forth. And when I say back and forth, I mean, it was a number of text messages that both of our wives were starting to get very frustrated with the amount of time we were ignoring them on. Usually I would say when in doubt, if it's gold with an autograph, you got to go. That's got to be it. But like we talked about last week, red refractors are special. When you get them in your hand, they look really, really good. So, I mean, this one's tough, especially for Cole, because technically he has a 2010 Bowman Chrome on Team USA, but no one really cares about it. He also has like a 2009 Upper Deck auto on Team USA, a 2007 like Pee Wee card that's autographed. His card history goes back really, really far. And I think there's a picture of his pregnant mom at some point in like 1997 as well. But we narrowed it down to the red and the gold, and it was a battle. I would say I lean towards, and I hate to say this, the Topps Chrome gold rookie autograph, I think, is the one that I lean towards. Jeff?
Yeah, and I was leaning the other way because of the red. Mm-hmm. It's only numbered to 5. It is the Bowman first. I was kind of in that camp. So I'm interested to hear what Scott and Phil think about this particular choice. Would you rather?
Okay, I'm actually first going to show you both of the cards. I've been fighting for my life trying to find this Gerrit Cole gold. I could not find it, but I found it here, and I'm going to show you the red so you get an idea of what we're looking at when we're debating these two cards. Here is the red. This is the first Bowman Chrome red base card, number to 5, right? It's a great card, really cool. The first Bowman Chrome auto of this card goes for what? 5 to 10 grand. It's a very expensive card. Versus here is going to be the Topps Chrome. This is just a basic Topps Chrome gold autograph. And if I was going to pick one, I personally would go for the red. I think it's so cool, personally. I understand it's an airbrush uniform and it's photoshopped, but so is the Bowman Chrome autograph. And realistically, like, this is a great card. Actually, a very good image of Gerrit Cole. Very bold autograph. The gold looks amazing. 2013 did a great job. But I just think this is a great card. And if Gerrit Cole ends up being a Hall of Fame pitcher, which there's actually a decent chance of that happening at this point, I do think that a Gerrit Cole collector will pay up for this card significantly more than the gold for the exact reasons we said for the red out of 5 rookie card versus the gold Bowman Chrome autograph. You're going to find more gold Topps Chrome autographs in this red. So if they're similar prices, which they were, that's what I would take, but it's really difficult to not take this card because it's really pretty as well. So, Phil, what are you thinking?
Yeah, well, for me, it's kind of definitive, but there are some nuances. If you look at like what these cards sell for, it's usually going to be in favor of the red Bowman Chrome non-autograph. And like a little bit of context here. So with Bowman Chrome, the autograph is very important for the card. And at one point, probably prior to the pandemic, not having an autograph on a Bowman Chrome first prospect card could cut down the value of the card by like 90%. So like divide it by 10. Now it's like closer to like divide it by 6.
And do you
During the
mean by that, Phil, if the red auto went for 10,000, the non-auto go for 1,000 is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this only stands for refractors, anything with like that where it has the same numbering schema. So you can't do this for the base, is what I'm saying. So yeah, so it used to be divided by 10. Now it's probably closer to divided by 6, divided by 7. If you're to look at like a true blue first without an auto versus one that has it. So I would say that the not having autograph for this number to 5 Bowman Chrome first hurts it more than the Topps Chrome card gets helped by having the autograph. So for Topps Chrome, I don't usually seek out a whole lot of Topps Chrome autographs personally. But the general rule I used to use is, so if it's like a Rafael Devers True Blue number to 150 with an autograph, I would multiply like sales history of the non-autograph by 2. So what I'm saying is that the autograph means more for Bowman than it's helping Topps Chrome. With this example, one of the reasons why it's close, I think, with Gerrit Cole, I think there's 3 reasons. The first 2 aren't as major, but one has to do with the grade. If it's not a PSA 10, people don't usually pay big premiums for PSA 10, rightfully so, on cards that are super rare like red. So if it's a 9, it's going to bring it a little bit closer in line. Like for me, if it's a gold, I want the PSA 10. If it's red, I don't care. Just give me the card, like in general, right? Mm-hmm. Another reason why it's close, I think, is because we're looking at a pitcher, Gerrit Cole. These guys don't tend to have the highest multipliers on the lowest numbered, very rare stuff. So for like, if it was a red Bowman Chrome auto, for instance, then you might see something like, I don't know, 30x for a pitcher, even if it's a great pitcher, one that's going to be a Hall of Famer, as in Gerrit Cole. For hitters, you might see up to 60x. So you're not getting that high multiplier on his red. But the biggest reason why I prefer, in almost all cases, the number to 5 red Bowman Chrome, other than like I've never owned one, I don't think. Like, I don't remember the last time it is that I owned one. It's hard to find these of any player. Like, never mind the players that are, you know, the really up there in the hobby spotlight today. But the bastardization of Topps Chrome over the years. So if you're to look at, I looked at Fernando Tatis, I looked at Vladimir Guerrero, I looked at J-Rod, I looked at Adley Rutschman, and in almost all cases, not J-Rod, but in the other 3 cases, like Tatis, Vlad, and Adley Rutschman, the red was outselling the number to 50 Topps Chrome rookie auto by 2 to 3x, if not more. And I think some of that is because of the bastardization of Topps Chrome. Like, so with Tatis and Vlad, you could be like, well, 2016 was pre-ultra modern, 2019 was ultra modern. So maybe it's just a thing with like people are avoiding ultra modern cards. And I thought, oh, maybe that's the case. But then I looked at Adley Rutschman, and you can literally see a PSA 10 number to 5 non-auto sold within the last probably 6 months for $5K. His gold Topps Chrome rookie auto is closer to $1,500. I think I tried to look at Bobby Witt, as I mentioned in the last episode, through the sales history, trying to like sift through all of these comps, couldn't even find the right gold Topps Chrome rookie auto. And I'm like, this is it. This is it. This is my problem. They just killed the brand of Topps Chrome. We have evidence right there that, you know, Bowman Chrome is the way to go. And that, even though I'm only looking at like 5 players, 10 total data points, like it told a powerful story to me.
Wow. Yeah, I was leaning towards the red Bowman after hearing what Phil said. That was much more in-depth analysis than I did, and shows me that I should be doing more when we're looking at a card. But I really appreciate his perspective, and I'm more on Team Red than I was even before. What do you think, Chris?
I mean, as I said, I was leaning gold, but it's interesting. I think we had this conversation kind of with the Devers, and the red is probably the type of situation where if one is available and you don't buy it and you have the means to buy it, you may never be able to buy it again. Like, there's only 4 others. The one that was bought is probably going into a PC, whereas there probably will be some other gold auto Gerrit Coles popping up periodically. I don't know. There's something about that gold Topps Chrome with the nice, like, his auto is really good. It's like bright blue. It does look great. I don't know. If the price points are exactly the same, I would probably still buy the auto.
Something about red, man. Red refractors.
Yeah, no,
You can't beat them. So what did you both end up actually purchasing then?
Well, as we've talked about, it was a little bit of a struggle for us to decide which one we preferred. And we thought now is a good time to buy Cole since his prices seem pretty depressed compared to some other Hall of Fame path players. So what we did was we threw an offer in on each of them and thought, well, we'll let fate decide which card we get.
Yeah, and I guess fate decided that both sellers would just hit the accept button at approximately the exact same time. So we ended up buying both of these cards. And honestly, it was sort of a relief because we couldn't decide. Like we were like, well, which one do we hope gets accepted? And we were just kind of going back and forth. So I think both these cards are awesome. I'm excited to have both incoming.
And considering that we were able to buy both for what, less than a PSA 10 Jackson Holiday Bowman first
God.
auto,
less than like a PSA 8 Jackson Holiday.
Yeah, so we felt like we were getting away with it. So we really it worked out for the best.
I think those were some good moves. Gerrit Cole has 2,200 strikeouts. He's still going strong. It's a great chance at 3,000 Ks. And if the Yankees win the World Series while he's still pitching, and he's the ace, I think there's a good chance that those cards become very sought after in the future.
Yeah, if the Yankees do win the World Series while he's pitching, I will throw up in my mouth a little bit, but it will help me swallow it down to look at these two Gerrit Cole cards that we have. Like that will help sort of ease the pain.
It's amazing how. So I'm a Rockies fan, and being a Rockies fan means you hate the Dodgers. They don't care about us. We're their little brother, and for good reason. We never won a division. The Rockies have never won a division at all. And I've always rooted against the Dodgers. They beat us in game 163 in 2018 or 2019. And we had to go play a wild card against Chicago in order to get to the division series against the Brewers. It sucked. It sucked because we were ahead the whole time and they choked. But Mookie going to the Dodgers makes me like the Dodgers. I not like them, but I have to watch their games. So maybe you'll end up watching the Yankees and kind of rooting for them in the World Series now, Chris. Maybe that's what'll happen.
The other thing is we like Gerrit Cole and we like Rafael Devers, and Devers seems to have the most success against Cole that any player has. So it's fun watching that matchup.
Yes, the moment I really decided I liked Gerrit Cole was after Devers hit, I think it was his 6th career home run off him. Gerrit Cole said in the press conference, "I'm open to ideas. If any of you guys have any thoughts, please let me know." So Scott, I was wanting to say, as much as you hate the Dodgers and they win your division constantly, imagine there being a team in your division. Your team wins the division 14 straight times, but another team in your division wins the World Series more often during that stretch than your team does. Trust me, that hurts a little bit more.
Yeah, that's tough. Hey, at least your team's won a World Series. So
that's true. Playoffs are always fun.
Yeah. Anyways, well, that's a great place to end. Congrats, you guys. Those are both great cards. And I still like the red. I think it's a cool card. The gold's also great. So, okay, next topic I wanted to discuss is what players are you guys just not convinced about that everybody else seems to be convinced about? Jeff, you kind of slipped who yours was before. So I want to start with you. Before we started recording, you kind of said who it was. And I think it's a good discussion. What player did you mention to us prior to
I did. And one guy who's very popular in card circles and in baseball circles is Aaron Judge. And I'm not a buyer of his cards. I feel like he's the combination of him starting late and his not great ability to stay healthy and stay on the field means that his game will not age well, especially if he's playing center field like he is projected to now. So I'm staying away from his cards, but I know that's an unpopular opinion, as some people, even people on this panel, are looking at Judge cards.
Yeah, I'm proactively debating on Judge, and that's hard for me to say, but I don't think his greatness is really understood to this point. Since 2022, where he had the home run record, 62 home runs, 131 RBI, 1.111 OPS for a 210 OPS plus. That's better than any season Mike Trout's ever had by far. It's pretty significant how good he was. He had the highest FanGraphs WAR for 2022 that we've seen in 30 years, not named Barry Bonds. 40 years, not named Barry Bonds. Maybe Ricky Henderson had that high of a total when he was stealing bases. He's able to have this extremely high ceiling, and even last year, he had a 1.019 OPS. He came back from the toe injury, which is concerning at Dodger Stadium. and he did not have as much average. He still had the equal number of home runs. I think he had 19 before and 18 after the injury. His ceiling is so high. And we've seen with other Yankees, he's a captain of the Yankees. He doesn't have to be an all-time great to have all-time great value. It's one of those things where we even see with like Don Mattingly being one of the most sought-after players of his generation. There's a chance Judge is there too. I haven't bought his cards up to this point, but I'm really starting to kind of drink the Kool-Aid, and maybe that's a mistake on my part.
Yeah, I'm a big Judge guy right now. My time horizon is different from a lot of the guys here. I'm more looking at like the next 18 months, and for me, it's a no-brainer. Like people are hoping for Juan Soto to have an Aaron Judge season. Well, why not just buy Aaron Judge for a little bit cheaper then? During his campaign, where by the way he set the record for home runs in the American League, his Bowman Chrome auto base, not saying it could ever get back there soon, but it like literally peaked out at around like $8,800. And if that sale wasn't real, then there were probably some real ones around 7,000. Base PSA 10 Bowman Chrome auto, that is now down to about 1,750. I keep on getting out sniped. I just got out sniped on another card. I was runner up. I mean, right now, I think I mentioned that Ronald Acuna, I forget if it was this episode or last episode, that he's the favorite to win MVP in NL at about plus 550. Well, Judge is the favorite in the AL at about plus 550.
Can I say one thing, Phil? It's a very weak group. Usually the AL was a bloodbath with Ohtani and Trout and Mookie when he was there. It's not that strong. It's Judge and Soto, in my opinion. Sorry.
Yeah. So I did put a few bucks on Judge and Acuna actually, and a few other guys. Why not? J-Rod, he could make the leap. Even though I picked Witt over him for the short term in another episode. But yeah, I mean, Judge, you mentioned like just 10 plus WAR season not too long ago. Like we're hoping that like some of these other guys that we're speculating on could put up a 7.5 WAR and hopefully win MVP. But he's like done it. He can do a 10 plus WAR. And last year, his walk rate 19%. Like he does a lot of things that I like to see. There's like tons of guys that people are putting money into, like Michael Harris. He might be underrated. I get it. But like 4 to 5% walk rate, like for me, that's not going to cut it. Rafael Devers, Austin Riley, like 4 to 6%, sub 8% walk rates. Kyle Tucker, like in that range. It's like it's a WAR killer. It's an OPS plus killer. Like that is a huge foundation. Other guys like Bobby Witt, like get your OBP above 330, please. It's going to do wonders to your WAR. For us stat geeks, but.
Yeah. So for me, I think that he has so much going for him. Really, like the upside of Aaron Judge is a higher upside than almost anyone in baseball. Like if Mookie wins the World Series, it's not going to matter. Like if he wins another MVP, it might not even matter that much for his cards. Maybe because he's the first player since Frank Robinson in both leagues. If Ohtani wins an MVP, yes, that's going to matter. But there's not many players outside that it can impact as much as it can for Judge and his collectability, in my opinion.
Quick question. Whose AL home run record did Aaron Judge break?
Roger Maris.
Right. Are Roger Maris's cards collectible?
I mean, his rookie card's collectible.
Any other ones?
But without that home run record, his rookie card would be a no-name card. It was held up because of that record.
Okay. All right. So there we go. So Roger Maris won back-to-back MVPs for the Yankees, and I don't really think his cards were moving the needle too much. Judge is great. Judge has all this potential in the world, but Judge cannot stay healthy. He has played, I think he's been hurt 4 out of his 7 seasons, and the Yankees, for whatever reason, seem to think their 6'7" Jack Reacher-esque baseball player can play center field for 150 games. This feels like the most asinine player move that I've seen in recent years. It seems lined up for utter disaster, and frankly, it's terrifying. Now, to be honest, I'm a little biased here because 2 years ago, I traded Aaron Judge in a Dynasty Fantasy League for Wander Franco. That has not aged well. That hurts me. It makes me really upset.
Sucks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, it hurts. It hurts. It's rubbed
Check in again
face.
in 14 years.
Oh.
We're going to edit that out.
It gets
No,
rubbed in my
keep that.
face.
Keep that in. Keep that in.
For sure. Absolutely. It's brutal. But I like Judge. He's really, really good. If the Yankees had said he'll be our right fielder at home and he's going to DH on the road, I would go out and buy his cards right now. But the idea that this guy's going to suddenly, someone who has not stayed healthy in his 20s, will now be 32 years old and patrolling center field. By the way, Michael Harris is like 9 years younger than him. I would never compare these two players, but that's probably worth noting on some level. I don't know. I think they're asking way, way, way too much of this guy. They've been asking too much of him for like 3 years to carry the offense. Now he's got help, and now they're asking him to carry their defense. It just seems insane to me. So I can't trust that he's going to play more than 100.
They need to get Dominguez back quick and get him in center field.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Trent Grissom can play center field.
Just go sign someone and put him in center field.
Soto in left field. It's not like his defense is important in right field. I don't understand the thought process.
If Judge gets pushed out of center field, then there's a greater chance Soto is going to be DHing more too, probably.
That Stanton contract is screwing the Yankees.
They just need to just release him. Just write it off and be done with it.
They're the Yankees.
I
heard he's in shape this year, though.
To do what he did again.
Best shape of his life.
Such good shape, his legs are going to cramp up and tear just by moving. But Aaron Judge, he had his worst season according to some metrics this last year because he had his worst defensive season. Aaron Judge is like a premium defensive player. Like he's really good defensively and offensively, and he's actually okay on the bases as well. That's why he has 10.6 B WAR and 11 plus F WAR type season. You have to be good at everything, right? That's why he's valuable. But it's one of those things where his last year, he was 4.5 WAR, which is his lowest WAR ever for a season where he's played more than 100 games, which is every season outside of 2020. And that's his floor to me right now. The only thing I'm concerned about is LeMahieu had a toe tendon injury, and he never came back from it and was never been the same. So there is concern there that this doesn't fully heal. Judd said some weird stuff about it last summer about how it's never going to feel the same, which is kind of worrisome for me. But he just seems like one of those things, like if you're ever going to take a Hail Mary shot, you have a great wide receiver down there open that can hopefully catch it, because he just seems like it's a boomer bust type pick. But I can see why you're not buying him, Jeff. I'm debating it. I haven't bought anything. By the time this comes out, I might have, but man, it's tough.
If the time horizon is more like what Filmington is saying, like a 12 to 18 month, I can see it. Although I don't think he'll be fully healthy this year. I think his chances of staying healthy this year are greater than in the future. So I could see that time horizon. Long term, I think that's a big risk.
One thing that I'm usually a huge proponent of is age and debuting early. So maybe this is like me going to uncharted waters a little bit with what I'm buying. He's going to be 32. So that is kind of concerning, because really there is any year he could just not have the same baseball savant page. There's a risk of that at this point.
Especially for someone his size, like that will happen. I mean, he could also just rattle off some 40 home run seasons in a row and get to 500 and kind of creep into the Hall of Fame. But the whole center field thing freaks me out. It just makes me just back away from his cards. Like I do think there is like a short-term thing. Like if his cards, I don't know what the prices are right now. I really haven't looked because I'm terrified of this experiment.
They're expensive.
But the idea of buying one now and him getting off to a hot start and selling at the end of April, I could see that. But holding for the whole season, that my hands are sweating at the prospect of that. Or
there could also be some short-term thing with like people expecting Soto to kind of steal the spotlight a little bit from Judge. That could be keeping Judge's prices a little bit affordable right now. But as we've seen over the last 3 years or so, Soto getting off to like a really slow start where Judge isn't really affected by, whether it be cold weather. I don't know. I guess San Diego, by the way, is one of the coldest ballparks.
Oh, really?
Kind of weird. I don't know if it's just like cold in April, but because of the marine layer or whatever, like it makes it a pretty cold ballpark. I don't get why, but that could have attributed to some of Soto's struggles. I don't know, but he seems to. It takes a while for him to warm up usually, and for me, Judge is a good Soto hedge in a little bit of a way in the short term, and I think he could benefit from Soto's slow start if he starts hot and stays healthy throughout April, which he's got the highest probability to stay healthy in April versus any other month. That's true. Why I like buying some injury-prone guys and like Royce Lewis. Like I plan to be out of his stuff by the end of April. If he's not doing well, I'm gonna still sell him because I'm wary to hold his stuff for longer than that because of the injury history.
Great. Well, I think that's Aaron Judge. I think we talked about him enough. There's major pros and cons. So, Phil, do you have a player that you just don't believe in?
I don't want to upset anybody. I mean, there's guys I'm like slightly bearish on. I mean, pretty much everybody I'm bearish on for the long term, except for Patrick Mahomes. So that'd be everybody on this list. Right now, I'm scrolling down a list of average draft position for fantasy based on Fantasy Pros. I don't want to steal someone that you guys might mention. Jeez,
Dude, Freddie Freeman stinks. I don't buy any of his cards. I don't like Freddie Freeman at all. Long term, short term, you don't want any part of that. Sell those cards to me.
I'll say Eric Fetty, starting pitcher for the White Sox, ranked 393. Just kidding. I heard he actually killed it in was it
He's
Korea?
with the White Sox? Wasn't he a national?
Yeah, he's a new pitcher now, different pitch mix, and he dominated whatever league he went to. He won their equivalent of the Cy Young. It might have been Korea. But I don't know, man. Like Tristan Casas was a guy that I usually make last year I did a list of like guys I really liked. It was like I published the episode on opening day, and it was like 4 players that I thought were undervalued heading into the season. And this year I'm going to do something similar. And Tristan Casas was going to be in the list, but now seeing his Bowman Chrome Auto Raw base go from like $35 to $50 to $60 to $70, like at the end of the day, he's still a first baseman. He hasn't shown a whole lot of power in games, and he's not going to do much from a defensive standpoint. I think what separates him from other guys like Torkelson, et cetera, is he's going to walk. He's got that going for him. I talked about walk rates, but the bar is so much higher for first baseman. We talked about this, like WRC plus, like you gotta be above 130 if you're a first baseman, because the defense, at best, it's going to be average from a WAR standpoint. Because if you're an above average first baseman, you're still going to get dinged from the defensive adjustment with the WAR calculation. And first basemen usually aren't very nimble, except for Freddie Freeman at age, however old he is now, 33. He's fast, but most of the other guys aren't.
Goldschmidt's doing pretty good.
They can only contribute in a couple ways. And Tristan Casas, you can't just pencil him in yet for 40 home runs. Who knows? He might start slow too. So he's a guy that at today's prices, I'm no longer buying.
Okay. I don't think I have anything anything to add either way. Do you, Jeff or Chris, on Tristan Casas?
No, but I do hope that he continues his offensive growth, because the Red Sox need something in that lineup besides Rafael Devers. So I'm cheering for him from afar.
I have a player. I don't know if any of you are going to disagree with me or not on this player, but there's a player I don't fully believe in, and that player is Trea Turner. I think that contract has a huge potential just to age like milk, like just really bad. And I have a couple points I want to share. I'll share my screen and we look at his stats real quick. But Trea Turner, he chases and misses so much. He was still 99th percentile speed this last year and only had 30 bags because he's not stealing. Like, I don't understand. Like, he should be having 70 to 80 stolen bases. Doesn't help. He never got on base this last year.
Getting on base, right?
He had a 320 on base percentage, which still isn't terrible. It's still better than Bobby Wood Jr., or pretty close to that, like Mark, right? Like, but let me show you his kind of evolution of who he's becoming. So here is his Baseball Savant page. It's not that good looking. Like, really, 99th percentile in base running value, because he adds value on the bases outside of stealing bases. Maybe that's partially why. Maybe it bugs whoever's hitting behind him that he's on second base. I don't know. But either way, his chase rate has just continued to drop, and his swing and miss is not great. Strikeout rate is not that bad, but he's basically just not making as good a contact as he used to. He is below average fielding. That was apparent watching him on the Dodgers the last few years. He had a lot of just boneheaded plays at shortstop, and that were like kind of game killing, like when he would make those plays. So he is at, I think, like 30 WAR. Like, where's he at according to Fangraphs? 35 WAR through his age 30 season, which is great. And shortstop usually have a lower, barrier to entry to the Hall of Fame. But this 3.8 WAR this last year, I know he was good in the second half. I would be very leery of buying his cards and expecting a good long-term return on his cards, personally. Anybody disagree?
His cards have never really been expensive, right? I mean, I feel like he's been mostly ignored by the hobby for his whole career. So I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't be buying his cards now, but they can't be that pricey if you want to take a chance, I guess.
When he joined the Phillies, they started to move. People were speculating. So.
He gets spikes. He fools people every here and there. A good postseason moment, which up till recently he had like a 130 career postseason average. till like that turned around a couple of years ago, I think. Like it was really bad because I remember watching him for the Dodgers and I'm like, geez, like I thought this guy was like the batting title guy like multiple years, right? He's probably won a couple. I
The
don't
World
really
Baseball Classic spiked his stuff too.
Yeah.
That was a
Yes,
big
he had
one.
a great
that was
World
big
Baseball
moments.
Classic. Yeah.
Like he's good enough to have those moments and for those to affect his hobby versus a guy that's kind of below him, like another tier below. But with Turner, he did have a really rough first 4 months. He turned it on in like mid-August because he was on my fantasy team. Like it was unreal what he was doing. So like, I don't know, like first year with a new team, is there something there? As Scott mentioned, like at least some of the core skills, like the maybe not the defense, but the sprint speed is still there. Not translating to steals. Maybe that's a team tendency thing. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, I don't really disagree with much you said, Scott.
As far as steals go, he might be the player most hurt by his lineup spot in terms of his fantasy production. Or I mean, he has a concrete block standing on first base about 120 times.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Which basically means he can't steal. Because Kyle Schwarber's not going first to third on any ball that Turner isn't standing on second base after. So like his steal numbers his opportunities are definitely suppressed.
That's a great point. I didn't even think of Kyle Schwarber off the top of my head. Yeah, he hit second in 113 games last year out of the amount he played. I don't know why he's not leading off. Obviously, they like Schwarber leading off, but put Schwarber third. If you can get, I understand. I don't know. For me, put Turner first. Let him get in a scoring position for Bryce Harper every single time. And then Kyle Schwarber can, if Bryce Harper can't do it, hit a home run and get a 3-run instead of a solo. I don't understand the thought process.
I think they're overthinking. They didn't want the two lefties back to back. They didn't want Schwarber and Harper back to back. I think they're overthinking it. The Dodgers
Bryce
don't
Harper's
care.
good enough. Bryce Harper's good enough. It shouldn't matter. Like if he was a platoon hitter, I could see it. But I don't know. Phillies fans, I don't know your team as well as you do. Let me know if I'm being stupid. Okay, Chris, did you have someone you wanted to say? Or are you feeling good?
I don't really have. I just real quick. I don't have someone that it's not someone I don't like or I don't think will be good. But I expect I will not buy a Jackson Holiday card for at least like 2 years. Like at least 2 years. Like when his cards are outpricing Mookie Betts's, I'm not interested. Like he may be, if he turns out to be like the next Honus Wagner, so be it. I won't own any of his cards. But I'm not playing this. I'm not prospecting on that.
And the thing is, even if he does, there's going to be points when his cards are lower than they are now. That's just the way it is. Even if he is on a inner circle Hall of Fame track, the prices are going to get lower than they are now, probably right when he debuts, since that seems to be when prices hit the lowest. Yeah, I'm with you there.
He's going to have a hard time just being better than his dad, who didn't get got maybe 1 or 2 Hall of Fame votes. Like his dad was so good, top 2%, 3% of baseball players all time, and no one cares about Matt Holliday. So I think it'll be hard for Jackson. Not saying he doesn't have that potential, but the price-wise, there's a lot of risk involved. But there is usually a predictable time to sell. So maybe that's what people are doing, and that's their game plan. They're not holding for the long term. I just don't think any of us here, besides maybe Phil, are those individuals. So
yeah, with Jackson Holiday, I did pick up a bunch of his stuff, but now I'm in selling mode. And with guys like that, I'd rather be early than late in exiting. So sometimes I leave a decent amount of money on the table, especially if I have multiples. So I've still got a couple, somewhat bigger cards of him to sell. I mean, they're not huge, but with him, I think a lot of people don't realize like this is like the inefficiency that some people can exploit with like minor league baseball, is that a lot of people aren't able to see them playing games until they debut. And I think Ellie's athleticism, like you can read scouting reports all you want, but if you don't see actual footage of him, like you would not know how big and intimidating and fast and flashy he was till he hit the field. And I think Chorio might actually have some of those traits. Jackson Holiday is a different mold. He's well-rounded. He's great at everything, but the power isn't yet there. And that matters the most, in this game. It does. All the other stuff matters too, in my opinion. The defense, the fact that he's playing shortstop, his dad didn't, the eye, the age, it's all important. But if the power doesn't translate, and if he has 650 plate appearances and only hits 20 home runs or 19, is that going to be enough with like a 6 WAR? Is that going to be enough to support today's prices? I don't know. Make an argument that it's not.
It will be for the first year. The sophomore season's where he needs to be an 8 WAR player or they'll drop. Like we saw with Julio, right? His cards dropped and he was just as good his second season as his first.
Yeah, but 6 WAR isn't like the base case. That's like 80%
Yeah, no,
outcome.
totally. If you have
And that's
Fangraphs,
for him to maintain. So there's still a lot of risk today, in my opinion.
So I'm actually reading something on Jackson Holiday right now that he's going to see additional time at second base this year. So that's their plan for him, is to play him at second base potentially, which is interesting. I don't know if that affects his hobby at all. But
Gunner, dark horse MVP pick. That's good.
Right. So
Good
if you're a young franchise quarterback, if you're a young franchise shortstop, you got to hit more than 20 home runs, and you got to avoid high schools in the Dominican Republic. Those are the two rules.
The rules.
You got to do both those things.
Awesome. Okay, well, I think it's a great place to wrap this up. Thanks, everybody, for listening. List in the comments down below if there's any players you don't believe in heading into this year, and if you agree or disagree with our picks, and we will see you in the next video.